Recording in progress.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, May 15th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Call to order the special meeting of the City of Franklin Common Council. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Olson.
Oh my God.
And the cameras got that. You got that, right?
No, you did not.
Oh, they got that.
No.
I say we start over.
Jesse was just talking about it.
You just missed it, Mike. It was
No, you didn't miss it.
another great moment. Oh, yeah.
Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Alderman Holfer.
Here.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Here.
Alderman Hassan.
Here.
Alderwoman Day.
Here.
Alderman Barber.
Here.
Alderman Craig is excused.
All right. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, moving on to item B, citizen comment period. Any citizen wishing to speak at this time, please approach the podium. We'll double check and make sure the microphone's working. 3 minutes maximum. State your name and address for the record.
Testing. Okay.
Yep, it works.
Pretty
Hey,
good.
It's a winner.
Dale Kerner, 8630 West Hawthorne Lane. Like that little blooper in the beginning. But anyways,
So I'm sure some did.
I commend you people for the time you put in last week in regards to being here past, 2:30 in the morning or something, having real jobs after that. But again, my issue is, again, the sound from the rock. And let's be clear to the press that before this stadium even got the go-ahead, the neighbors had three major concerns. One was parking, one was light, and one was sound. We asked to do a sound study beforehand. That was not done. About 2 years ago, the county appropriated a lot of money to do a sound study on how it affected the neighbor and the surrounding communities. Everybody was a good participant except the owner of the rock. So when I read these articles and they bash my neighborhood and my neighbors in particular, that 55 decibels, let's be honest, is not in the stadium. It's on the property lines. And somebody made a comment, well, 55 decibels is like hearing a fan going or a toothbrush. I'm sorry, I have neighbors. I don't hear their fans running. I don't hear their toothbrushes. We were at the meeting last Tuesday. Some of the neighbors and I were talking outside the door and in a very soft voice, and it was disrupting what was going on in here. And we moved away politely. We didn't do that on purpose. So can you imagine my backyard on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon screaming and yelling? I don't deserve that. Nobody else in Franklin has to put up with that. So let's keep that in consideration when you vote on various things in that. We want to work with the rock, but we're not going to give up our personal, private life. I thank you for your time you guys spend on this. A lot of you weren't involved in the beginning. And this is what happens when poor planning goes on. So I thank you again.
Janella McAdams, 8735 West Hawthorne Court. I'd like to also thank everybody for the work they've done on this, bringing down the decibel level. I called Mayor Nelson this weekend, and our Alderman Jason Craig thanked him, so I want to thank you all personally too. I was very, and still am hopeful that this keeps going in the right direction. I am thankful also that the rock has turned down the speakers and is finally working to try to get the noise down. I did see an article in Outkick.com, and I thought that this was going to be the end of it with the 55 decibel level, but there was something that you, Mayor, had said that that's not sustainable. And so I'm a little confused on that, because I thought that, we were going through a good path, and now I'm starting to wonder, is this just temporary and we're going to have to keep coming to these meetings, or is this going to be put to rest once and for all? So I hope that in the near future, you can address that comment that you made. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'll wait till you're done and I'll address it.
Okay, thank you. And just moving forward, just to, keep on the same path that we all want to work together, the neighborhood wants to work together, and we're not going to be out there with the meters, oh boy, they're not at 55. If we can't hear it, we don't care what goes on there. So again, I want to thank you, and I hope that we keep on the same path.
Sure, so I could respond to that? So what I meant when Channel 12 came and asked that question about the ordinance, and the ordinance is almost 3 decades old or real close to when that was passed, and my parallel to that was being in that area of the ambient noise being low to mid 50s, just being there at that lot line when we were at the Knowles residence during that sound check. And my comment is, and was, is this relevant? Is it even accurate anymore, given the ambient level of noise that currently exists? And that was the comment that I've echoed many times to neighbors. I've not made any shortfall with that. That's exactly where it is. And I was very happy and pleased that the sound check turned out the way it turned out at the Knowles residence. Neighbors were good. It apparently was fine with rock management, and that was my comment. So my comment was my comment, but again, we go out there right now with nothing going on, it's going to be low to mid 50s. It just seems that it's not, whenever it was designed, I think it was early 90s, early to mid 90s, whenever that was designed, definitely Franklin wasn't where it is now, and we didn't have anything really that was a noise generator other than if you live by me where the speedway is. And when that was kicking on Saturday nights, for those that are long-term lifers around here. But, so that's what I said and why I said it the way I did.
So for right now, you're saying that this is pretty much going to stay, because this weekend was wonderful. Everybody in the neighborhood was so happy that it wasn't disruptive, irritating. No, like it was wonderful, and we really appreciate. Like we spoke, I
don't wanna-
truly do appreciate.
I don't want to change, I don't want to mess with anything. I'm just saying it just has to be realistic. The ordinance, take away the what's going on at the Rock. Take that part out of it. The fact that it's mid 50s or 55 is just not realistic when you're sitting on somebody's property. I'm just saying ambient noise is to that level. So it just doesn't appear that's doesn't make any sense to me. So it's going to be when there's nothing going on, you're almost breaking the noise ordinance, is my point. So no, I'm very happy that it went the way it did. I drove by there a couple times. I appreciate your call. I appreciate some other communications we got from neighbors. Wonderful. That's what it's like, coexisting. It's a very successful campus, and you've got a wonderful neighborhood, and we want to somehow make sure that all works together.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for addressing
Thank
the
you.
question.
No one else? Oh. Just name and address, please.
Daryl Malik, 8230 River Terrace Drive. I'm not here to really argue the noise thing because I don't think that's the point of this meeting. However, I will say that we have very, very good friends in the neighborhood, Hawthorne Lane, that love the Rock, and I feel really badly for the people that put up, and I think in excess over a number of years. But on the other hand, what happened last week, being at the game, and it does take a lot away from the experience. Some people say it doesn't matter. It really does matter. And it is unrealistic. I'm an engineer. It's an unrealistic level. So for whatever that's worth, I do pursue the council and the neighbors to find a more realistic thing, which is, if my recollection is in the 60 to 65 range, would be more than acceptable to all parties. That's what engineering wise would be a much more appropriate thing. So, but back to the fireworks, which is, I believe this meeting is really about. There was and I'm not sure if anybody else is going to speak behind me, but there was a poll taken today, which was overwhelmingly in favor of the fireworks, 97% to 3%, with more than 1,000 people-ish voting, which is a very representative poll. That's not like you asked 10 people what they think. From my perspective, in our neighborhood, I would say it's 99.9% that people are in favor of the fireworks. It's on the weekend. Some people don't understand that. It's all Friday nights. maybe one Saturday, depending on the schedule. And generally, they're over by 10 or 10:30 at the absolute latest. And most people love the fireworks. And I would encourage each council member to consider their constituents and represent the majority. So thank you very much. And again, thank you for all your work. I listened to that 2:44 a.m. thing, and I don't want you guys to have to do that again. So
And it was 2:44 a.m. I'm glad you were with us.
Exactly.
Not many were.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Chaskas, 8625 West Hawthorne Lane. 50-year resident of Hawthorne Lane. Built our beautiful home there, our dream home, I guess you might like to call it. And we never had a problem. For the first 30 years, 40 years, there was absolutely no problem. The rock came about, talking about decimals, we never had a problem with the ski hill. The music at night, on our end of it, maybe 76th Street did because it faces that way, or into Greenfield. But also, talking about fireworks, I'd like to know who took that poll at 99.9% that people agreed they go to the ballpark to hear fireworks? You got to be kidding me. I'd like to invite that gentleman to come over to my house the night of a firework, hopefully there won't be any, and listen to what's happening in the backyards, in the homes. And we have a lot of young people there moving in with children. 10 o'clock, 10:30, loud fireworks? Not feasible. I mean, it's just not right. The other thing, like I said, like most of them said, we want to thank those people for working with us finally after all these years and coming up with something. But as far as your decibel type thing, I don't think that's correct, that you have to have something in the ballpark. How many people sitting at the ball game are saying, oh, I want louder announcers? Announcer, I think there's only one as far as I'm concerned. Or versus how many people are saying it's too loud? And I'm talking about previously. Friday, Saturday was excellent. I wasn't around Sunday, so we were pleased with that. If we can keep it that way, everybody should be happy. Okay?
Thank you.
Hi there, Steve Wamser, 7481 South Cambridge Drive, Franklin. I live about my house is a half mile from the Rock by bird. And we support, I know this is about the fireworks, we support the fireworks. I've got 3 kids at home. We love going to the Rock. We love everything about it. I know this isn't just about different things at the Rock, but we were at the game Friday night. We actually couldn't hear the national anthem when we were walking in. So I understand you don't want to be obnoxious, but most of the community really likes and appreciates going there. And, you know, they turned a garbage dump into what it is. And you get people complaining there's nothing to do in Franklin. Well, they developed all these restaurants, all this great stuff. And making it hard to do business with the owners there is going to be, it's not good for our community. So my family loves and supports it. We were up there like 4 times this past week, including my college daughter, and my son had a birthday party up there. So we do support it. The poll was on Facebook today on the Franklin community page. That was 97% pro the fireworks. So we're definitely pro the fireworks. We're pro the Rock. It's good that they want to work with everybody and not make people's lives miserable, but we're close to there. I mean, I can see Lux from my driveway, and it's not an issue for us at all. So we're pro the Rock and pro fireworks, and you just hate to see such a good thing and push them out of town over something like this, because you want to make it easy to do business. You know, I remember reading all these things when Oak Creek got their town square a few years ago, and people complained, oh, how come Franklin doesn't have anything? How come Franklin doesn't have anything? Well, we finally have something, and there's some complaints, and most everybody else loves it and appreciates it. So we just support it, and I hope you do the fireworks this summer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
John McAdams, 8735 West Hawthorne Court. Again, I'm going to reiterate what my wife said. Thank you for finally enforcing the true law that was such an obnoxious noise disturbance to our peaceful backyards. It was for the past 5 years. Why? And this is Zimmerman. He is not a good neighbor. He had to do a couple little things. If all it took was turning these speakers down and working with the neighbors for a sound test, he did not even do that with us when we were suffering in our backyard for years. It's sickening that we got very little help from everybody sitting up here. Finally, things are coming together. I don't want that let this slip away. John, what you're saying right now, it's like, feels like it's slipping away now. Right now is beautiful. We did a sound check. It was approved by the Rock management and the neighbors. And now it sounds like they're kind of like weaseling their way out of this thing. The fireworks, I don't even want those anymore. The fireworks, why? We have a peaceful neighborhood again. You know, the Rock promised almost like a town square. We're left with a loser minor league baseball team that blasting our neighbors in the past. For the past 5 years, has been obnoxious. He has not been a good neighbor. Little things he could have done in the very beginning, but he refused to try and do so. In fact, even to the point of not letting the sound study come on his land. Just flipping everybody the bird, saying, you know, too bad, you can't come on my land. The Milwaukee, that was unnecessary. We wasted $250,000 on something that could have been disputed like what we did in the neighborhood sound check recently. This is ridiculous, and I don't want to see this slip away. We had a peaceful neighborhood. Hey, I was looking to move. I'm not looking to move anymore. I'm like, finally, we can stay here because we have our peaceful backyard back. Now, I don't understand. I just don't want the slippery slope to happen. We had our neighborhood council. We agreed on that. It seemed good. I'm not sure from who I think you were there, John. And then the Rock.
You're talking the sound check?
What's that?
You're talking at the sound check?
Yeah, the sound check
Yeah, I was there.
between the neighbors and the government.
I was
and,
3 feet away
and
from
Zimmerman.
you, but I was
Yeah.
positioned back so you didn't see me.
But so I'm like, okay,
were
so
there.
it should have all been good. So I'm just freaking out now that I'm hearing stuff like, well, I don't know if this is sustainable. And so, like, is that like a slippery slope to higher decibel levels and everything? I thought we had this all settled. I guess that's my comment.
Okay, well, I'll address it.
Yeah, and I don't want fireworks. Yeah, I like
We
my
picked up
neighborhood.
on that. So,
Thank you.
to address you, Mr. McAdams,
Yes.
that the ordinance at 55, when we were back at the Knowles property doing the sound check, was upper 50s, and I think it touched 60, 61 at some points.
Okay.
And great, I mean, nobody was up in arms, and there's no slippery slope. I'm just, again, reiterating that if it was at 55, fine, but what was acceptable was over 55. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not looking to open up Pandora's box and making it some sort of crazy whatever, but it's got to be realistic. So if what they had was 60, and there's, perhaps that could be it, but I'm saying whatever was there was acceptable. I was real happy. I was, again, I'll reiterate, I was very happy to hear from your wife and Ms. Gint, and everything was wonderful.
No, we
And
appreciate it. Thank you.
and that's how we want to coexist. And I somehow we're going to coexist. We're going to fix this, and I think we're really going down the right pathway.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Dana Gint, 9011 West Hawthorne Lane. We do appreciate that the decibel levels have been turned down. I want to make it very clear that the Milwaukee County Sound Study references I think it's called the Noise Clearinghouse Publishers. It's an independent organization. It researched 500 ordinances in the United States, and the average decibel level for residential properties is 50 decibels. So you might think it's 30 years old and antiquated, but that report says that 50 decibels is the median level out of 500 ordinances for the largest cities in the United States. So think about that. And obviously, if the other neighborhoods all have 50, 55 decibels, do you get 1,000 complaints from them? I don't think you do. So if you're enforcing 55 decibels or 50 decibels at our property line, like every other neighborhood, you're not getting complaints from those other neighborhoods. So to say that you are, that if it goes to 56 or something, is just being disingenuous. I'll just leave it at that. And as far as I'm sure the people here, because my neighbors have been to over 100 meetings, and these look like people that just come tonight to complain about the fireworks. So the neighbors have been to over 100 meetings. The sound study was required to be done for the development. The Dot-Town Center Stadium did do a sound study and used it to design their stadium. They have zero noise complaints. They do not allow fireworks, and their attendance is higher than the Milkman games. They do not allow, and they do not have all the other fun stuff over there, the Lux Golf, the Brick House, they have a higher attendance in a smaller stadium without fireworks. So to say that they need fireworks to have a more successful business, the Dot-Towns are doing better than them without any fireworks. So let's put that to think about. There's a couple things on this letter that's in the packet I'd like to discuss. It says, point number 1, according to the PDD, temporary entertainment uses are permitted uses. That is not the correct reading on that. By the way, when you read that ordinance, the PDD, the paragraph under the permitted uses, obviously you have to go through the permitting process. It even says, as permitted under the Unified Development Ordinance and Municipal Code for permitted use, which if you go to the ordinances, it says you have to go through the permitting process, which would be the licensing committee, and then it comes to the common council. It's not a blanket approval, which is how the whole 79 decibels came to be, is that it was a blanket approval for everything. The item number 2 that says fireworks displays were agreed upon during the licensing meeting. That is not correct. There was a discussion. There was no approval, no motion made about the approval of the fireworks. Let's see. Previous years, it says there's been no violations. That's incorrect also. There have been violations regarding the fireworks. There's several, just to be clear. And then financially, this will impact the Milwaukee Milkmen. As I said, the Dot-Town Stadium does not have fireworks and it has more of higher attendance. And they don't have all the other things, the Brick House, the Umbrella Bar, all the other things bringing people there. They just go to the stadium itself. And then as far as the fireworks being part of the plan, I don't really remember them being that many. And obviously this is very excessive. This neighborhood was established in the 1970s. We bought our houses for quiet enjoyment. The city has allowed this nuisance to go on for a decade. We deserve better. We bought our houses for a reason. And this is unacceptable to continue to allow this. It violates all noise ordinances. As documented in the Milwaukee County Sound Study, fireworks exceed all ordinances in the city of Franklin and Greendale. My final comment is if there's going to be an appeal made for whatever decisions made here tonight, and I hope that you do not allow the fireworks, or if you allow 1 or 2 plus drone shows, that should be the maximum. We do not deserve to be treated this way. That if there is an appeal made over with the Rock's decision or whatever the decision's made tonight, that does not go to the municipal judge. It needs to be sent to a different municipality for jurisdiction because of the conflict of interest on both sides of the table for the municipal judge. In my opinion, that is a huge conflict of interest, and I don't think that's acceptable. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gintz. Anyone else wishing to speak? Going once, twice. Closed citizen comment period. Move on to item C. C1, reports and recommendations. I will read this in its entirety. Extraordinary entertainment and special event license application appeal pursuant to Municipal Code 121-9 K as in King, Rock Sports Complex fireworks displays after Milkman Games 2024. Person in charge is Christopher Conley, location 7035 South Ballpark Drive, Franklin Field. Dates of events, well, we're past the 10th, but it was May 10th, 24th, June 7th, June 14th, June 28th, July 12th, July 26th, August 2nd, and August 23rd of this year. The Common Council may enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 1985 Sub 1 Sub G to confer with legal counsel for the Common Council who is rendering advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to the subject litigation, and to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act on such matters discussed therein as it deems appropriate. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a first and a second. We're going to do a roll call on this, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Holfer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Absent.
Absent.
So we've got 5 ayes, 1 absent. Motion carries. We'll be now slowly going into closed session. So what we just simply ask the folks here is what we'll do is we'll go out. We've got a,
I understand where you're coming from, and I don't disagree. But I'm just, do we need it before we do this part, this first part?
well, we don't, but we could, or since the whole group's here.
You didn't come up and comment. Process has historically been
And,
an opportunity.
and the gentleman
May I?
that's speaking right now is Mr. Michael Zimmerman. So what we're gonna do is we've got we got a first and a second. When we come back in, well, if you wish to discuss it now, but the problem is, the thing is, we have a first and a second to go into closed session. We have a first, I was trying to explain the process in which we're doing, Mr. City Attorney. So we've got a first and a second, it's been voted on, that we are to move into closed session at this time. When we come out of closed session, before we go into item 2, we can suspend the rules to have you speak if you wish. All right, so we're going to do that. So right at this point, we're going into closed session. We ask that everybody stand at least 5 feet away from the doorways, and then we'll make the announcement. We go back into open session. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
It's now 7:37 p.m. It is now 7:37 p.m. We are back in open session. City of Franklin Special Common Council meeting, May 15th, 2024. Mr. City Attorney, you have the floor, please.
Should we wait till they all get in?
With regard to this item, which is currently under appeal to the municipal court judge, the item from the May 7th, 2024 Common Council meeting, which is being appealed, was a vote by the Common Council upon a motion to approve the application. The vote on the motion resulted in a 2 in favor and 4 opposed, so the motion failed. The motion to approve failed. There was not a motion to deny pursuant to the Section 121-9 Extraordinary Entertainment and Amusement Special Events provision of the municipal code. Only a failed motion to approve. In that regard, suggested motion is that proceedings be had as discussed in closed session.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. This will be a roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Barber.
No.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Holfer.
Aye. 4 ayes, 1 no, 1 absent, motion carries. So now I'm going to read item C2, and I'll be asking the applicant or applicants to come up to these 2 chairs here, if there's 2 of them. C2, Extraordinary Entertainment and Special Event License Amended Application, Rock Sports Complex, Fireworks Displays After Milkman Games 2024. Person in charge, Christopher Conley. Location 7035 South Ballpark Drive, Franklin Field. Dates of events, May 24th, June 7th, June 14th, June 28th, July 12th, July 26th, August 2nd, August 23rd, 2024. Good evening, gentlemen. If you would please, well, first let's verify those are working, and then,
Test, test.
Test.
perfect. Just state your name and business address for the record, please. Start with you, sir.
Chris Conley and 7035 South Ballpark Drive.
Mike Zimmerman, ditto.
So what I'm going to ask to do is you wish to speak first. What we'll do is you can state points that you wish to discuss. Then members of the council will be asking questions. And I'd ask for complete decorum from the audience, please.
So, I think this is just to talk about the fireworks, but there were comments made tonight on decibels that I just want to comment on, just so we can give you our perspective. First and foremost, we are in violation as we speak of the 55 decibel ordinance. So you guys can cite us currently if you want. So as a business owner, that's a very difficult spot to be put in, and that's without a milkman game. And I've got data amongst data to demonstrate that we're never going to be able to hit the 55. So that, I think, John, I echo your statement, which is that's unreasonable, it's unrealistic. What I found mind-boggling amongst other things is when you guys asked us to do a number of things, tweak the speakers, take speakers off, make a bunch of changes, do a sound check with the city or the residents. Everybody was satisfied with that. We were at 61 decibels during that sound check. And then, Mr. Barber, you made the goofy motion on 55, which it just doesn't make sense to me. And I understand the residential number, but I have a perspective that our PDD is still a legal document. I'd prefer not to go down that road. We want to do the right thing, but the decibels as voted on is just not going to work for the business. You guys get hammered because you're not enforcing it. You're not enforcing it right now. I should have a ticket. You should ticket me now. You should have ticketed me yesterday, the day before. You should have ticketed me at 9:45 a.m. before our businesses weren't open, but you don't. So this is going to be an issue unless truly we can all get on the same page in terms of what is the reasonable decibel level for an entertainment district that this city invested in, $20-some million. We have since day one have talked about fireworks. We've talked about concerts. That's why it's in our PDD. So I'll move on from that. That's our perspective on decibels. When it comes to fireworks, I've been doing this a long time in this city. And for you guys not to give us a voice, I mean, I get it. You're tired, there's other issues out there, but to not even get us up here and to talk about things and to give our perspective, and then to vote in I think it was like 10 seconds, you guys ripped through a no vote. The alderman that is conveniently not here tonight put forward a motion to approve fireworks. And then when the vote came around to him, he said no. I don't know in what world that you just don't motion if you're not going to vote for it. It makes no sense to me. And it's not just doesn't make sense to me, guys. Look at the stuff on Facebook. Listen to the people that put you in these chairs. You got a Facebook poll that people joke about. It's a real thing. There's over 1,000 votes that went out today. 97% of those people want fireworks in the city. Put my style, put my personality aside. That's the residents speaking to you guys as elected officials. So fireworks, not to mention, and there were some other comments. We're not a loser of an organization. The Milkmen are not losers. That pisses me off. As a matter of fact, this is our 6th season. We've been in the playoffs 5 times. I don't know what losers is to the gentleman in the crowd, but we are not losers. He's the same gentleman that also said 2 weeks ago, and you can go check the tapes, almost quote unquote, I don't have a problem with the fireworks. 2 weeks later, he's got a problem with the fireworks. But they're also happy with the stuff that we've done. So, you know, minor league baseball, amongst the 200 some teams, the far majority do fireworks. It's part of the business model. You guys take that away from us, you take away other things from us, we're going to have a much bigger fight on our hands. I'm not going anywhere. And that's not a threat, but when you guys start to take away our ability to be a business in this city, we take that serious. I've got 1,500 employees. I pay my taxes. Yes, we have a dispute on the shortfall. I paid that. That issue should now be off the table. So I hope logic will prevail. When we talk about fireworks, we are not amending our application. Don't ask us to. We'll adjust the time. The application for our fireworks stands, and I hope that you guys make the right decision here.
Thank you, Mr. We'll start with Mr. Barber.
I resent the fact that you're calling a motion made before council as being goofy in a public forum. That on the record. The other thing too is, well, things you mentioned about the ballpark don't pertain to fireworks in terms of the noise. You cannot moderate that. You're going to be shooting off fireworks and you're going to be making a noise that goes above the decibel level and is a public nuisance to some people in the immediate vicinity, which it has been for quite some time, and they've been very vocal about that. So my question to you is, how can we reach a middle ground?
Alderman, to your first, the resentment is a feeling, and I appreciate that. I could say the same thing about resentment, but I don't, it's how I feel about it, right? And I have every right to tell you how I feel about it. So that aside, what do you mean middle ground? We put forth an application.
The fireworks are not governed by the things you've done in terms of speakers, sound levels, being an accommodation. Fireworks don't do that. They go off and they make loud booms. And I understand that you're willing to do it till 10 o'clock, but is there anything else you can do, like moderating the kind of fireworks you buy that would be within a limit, different limits to the amount of the explosion going on? I've heard in the past that there are things that you can do. I think you mentioned that at some point a number of years ago, that you can buy certain fireworks that are not going to be as noisy and limit to a certain level of fireworks. You can speak to that possibly.
Yeah, I believe mortars are the type of firework that you're referring to, and we actually don't use those in our show. But I guess my question back to you is, with the extraordinary event, aren't we allowed a higher decibel level with that?
Not that I'm aware.
Trying to find my words here. We put forth an application like we have for the last 5 years for fireworks, right? We're asking, we were very clear when we built the stadium that we were going to do fireworks shows. You guys have approved it year over year over year. The complaints, I don't have one on record around the fireworks. I don't, and to suggest middle ground and what else can we do and more, yes, we're willing to tweak things like we have. Concert series used to go to midnight. Hill Has Eyes, tons of improvements. I could go on and on and on. Excuse me, Alderman, I've got the floor on this. I have made, no, I do. I mean, isn't that how this works?
Continue, Mr. Zimmerman. All right, just continue.
I think
Just keep it to the, well, hold on. We're going to keep this. Mr. Barber's got the floor, Mr. Zimmerman's speaking, and we just want to keep it towards the fireworks. That was the only question.
And I'm saying that we've made a ton of changes, and what we're asking for is the same treatment that we've had for the last 5 years.
For the last 5 years, we've had complaints from the neighbors over some of these same issues.
Or we're talking about fireworks, correct? Then you'll have to demonstrate where we have firework complaints, because it would truly.
The council has heard them.
Well, I have a Facebook post, with all due respect, that says that is the far minority that
It's your neighbors.
I understand that. The idea to make everybody happy all the time is an impossible equation. If you're asking me to do that, we're in a tough spot. We've made modifications. We did that to the sound. The neighbors seem happy. although they maybe didn't act like it tonight. I talked with some of them in the hallway. They seem positive. They're worried that the council's going to flip the script back. And I think that's what they're worried about. I think that's where the emotion comes from. But we've done a lot. And to suggest otherwise is just, it's false.
Is there a way to moderate the volume of the fireworks? Or are you going to go just art blanche, get anything that's out there and that makes noise and not worry about what those levels are? Is there a way of doing that? And
We do what every other minor league baseball stadium does. We the fireworks that we do for every game, they're not these huge mortars. They're about as silent as fireworks can be. I mean, we're not going to do drone shows all year. That's an expensive proposition.
is the answer is no then?
The answer is we have an Alderman, with all due respect, the answer is we've got an application in front of you asking for approval.
I mean, the noise.
I don't know what you're asking on fireworks. You want me to
I think if I could interject.
Fireworks are already bought, by the way.
I believe I've talked to Alderman Barber about this, and I think you touched on the different levels of firework you can buy that has, from the flashbang type up to the large display that doesn't, I mean, I'm just saying that's what he's asking or talking about, because there are different things you can buy given, obviously it's budget related, what can be done. And that's the question is, can there be things purchased that aren't the loud flashbang that, if that's a possibility?
So Mayor, you want me to find fireworks that don't go bang and flash?
No, and if you heard that, Mike, then you're drifting off to that.
I'm not.
To that Pegasus.
I'm playing the same pace you guys are, which is this is silly.
No, well, there are different levels, and I'm going to leave it. That was his question. Okay, that's not my point. It's not my viewpoint, but that was his question.
And the question is, my understanding is that the firework display that we have, we've already done a lot. It's a timed show. It stops at a certain hour. We've already purchased the fireworks, not a cheap date. Again, we realize that's our risk because we didn't have approval. I'm just saying, if you want me to go out and research the types of fireworks and how they work, I'll probably have to see in fall on that. But right now, that's not what we're asking for.
Okay, so one thing before we go to Alderwoman Day and then Alderwoman Eichman is, just so this amended application is clear, the end time is 10 p.m.
That will do.
So the end time is 10 p.m. and the duration of the show is 10 minutes. So 10-minute show, it ends at 10 p.m.
Just did you amend the show time too? What was amended in our application? I'm a little confused.
10 p.m., 10 minutes.
From what was in the original application.
I'm going to defer right now to Madam Clerk.
I mean, I'm sure it's doable. I just want to make sure that we're.
So the city clerk, Shirley Roberts, will be going through that with you.
It doesn't. We just originally had said that it ended 10 minutes roughly after each game.
But the amended form says 10 p.m.
It says end time 10 minutes is what it says.
No, it says 10 p.m.
Well, that's what the application says. That's what the application says.
Thank you. We'll move on to Alderwoman Day, then Alderwoman Eichman.
Thank you. I can clear the field a little bit on that, I think. The original application that Shirley just showed you did say 10-minute duration, like 10 minutes after the end of the game. So when your original application came out, I had sent a follow-up email asking if we could put in a hard stop time, just so that there was, something that we could, kind of regulate it as, a compromise kind of measure. And 10 o'clock was the time last week at the license committee when we were going back and forth with questions that was agreed upon as the
That's
stop
fine.
time. That's where it came from.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yep.
So, and that kind of just touches on a few of the things that I wanted to go over. So because we didn't talk about some of this last week. I just wanted to like reiterate the couple of points that I made at that license committee meeting, and then one other point of clarification that came up after the fact that I just wanted to ask about. So we talked about the 10 o'clock stop, the 10 minutes, and then the no makeup days if, you know, if it rains out or whatnot. The new, or the question that I didn't ask last time, in the municipal code, it talks about having insurance or liability for this. I didn't see that in the information that was provided in the original application or in this one. Do you have that you can provide to us?
So real quick on that, I actually spoke with Katie this afternoon. Our insurance that we submitted last year actually goes all the way until August of this year.
Okay, and we have that on file now?
Madam Clerk just confirmed that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we had that on file somewhere because it wasn't in the packet that we were reviewing. And then, because it was brought up tonight, if you guys could just talk a little bit, I'm not telling you have to do a drone show, but if you could just talk a little bit about kind of the expense and planning that goes into that, understanding that you heard about the fireworks and that's not what you're asking for, but can you just kind of talk about how you came to the drone show and, you know, the cost of that versus fireworks?
Yeah, I mean, how we came to the drone show is because you guys denied it, so we, you know, our season ticket holders, our customers have expectations. When we sell ticket packages, we always build in, you know, we could sort of stack certain components, whether it be fireworks, the superstars, et cetera, et cetera. The drone show was just a way to satisfy our customers' expectations, and I think people liked it. The problem with the drone show is it's more than 2x, a fireworks show. So while that
Say that again.
2x, it's more than double what a fireworks show costs.
Okay.
Yeah, which is, we had been quoted a price for a drone show for another event, so I understand how much they were, so I just wanted to get a comparison for rate of how much that is for your fireworks show. And then my last statement, and I believe this was just to answer your question, you asked if you were allowed higher decibel limits with the special event application. Yes, with an asterisk, it's yes based on council approval, not yes carte blanche, kind of thing. So yes, it's there if the council approves it, and in this instance, that would be essentially what's happening because fireworks are fireworks. I mean, you can't. And then, one last thing. The salute mortars were the ones that were in the application that you said you were not purchasing, and that's still correct? You have not purchased those?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
So before we go to Alderwoman Eichman, so the salute mortars are the loud boom things.
I think can we just, Conley, I think we just defer. We are not firework experts.
Yeah, I'm not a firework expert, but I mean, from my understanding, the louder, like larger fireworks are not part of our show.
Thank you. Alderwoman Eichman?
Thank you, Mayor. A few things that I wanted to bring up. Mr. Zimmerman, last year, did you receive any citations on any of the firework displays that you had after the Milkman games?
No.
Did the fireworks go past the 10 p.m. hard stop time?
Not to my knowledge.
I concur with those answers as well. With that, I'll yield the moment.
Okay, Mr. Hofer?
In your application, it states that some of the shells may be louder than the 79 dBA. So part of what Mike was getting at was I brought up previously, if you know what those particular shells are, can you work with because you're not launching them, you've got a company that does that, and I'm sure that they're more familiar.
That's right.
Can we eliminate, and because it says some, so to me, I'm an acquisitive person. So is some 1 or 2? Is some 5 to 10? Are you going to tell me that I'm going to do a 90-second grand finale and it's all going to be above that? Are there ways, I'm just trying to be realistic, are there ways that we can at least limit? I have no expectation that fireworks are going to be at 55. I understand that. And then the other thing, and then I'll let you comment, with the county sound study, and it says under recommendations, permitting of special events such as fireworks and Hills Has Eyes involves additional considerations. a general approach requiring the operator take reasonable steps to reduce the impact of extra loud activity should be followed in order to reduce the likelihood of the sound leaving the property. Thus, the number of days, nights, and that should be limited. So I believe when this started, you guys were around 7 originally. Now we're at, this was 9, but now we missed the first one. So I guess I would be looking, how do we move forward so that we can implement some of these recommendations and not say, well, it's been 9, it's going to be 9 all the time, and it's going to be whatever the shells are going to be. I'm just looking for a way to cooperate so that we can provide the best outcome for everybody. I like fireworks. I don't have a problem with fireworks, but there are people that do. So I'm looking in the spirit of how do we get to where we all want to be and not deny everything, but not take advantage either.
Alderman, I appreciate the comment. So I think all that is fair. We don't know. I think what we could do this year, though, is with these sound monitors, we can get the data. We can talk to the firework company, truly understand what our options are going into next year. And I believe, I don't want to be quoted on this, but I believe our PDD also suggested a number of fireworks that is still less than what we're doing. But in terms of this year, we have, again, right or wrong, we have already gone out and said, here's the firework shows we're doing. Because frankly, if you go back to the history of the votes, it's been yeses all across the board for the last 5 years. So these issues are newer issues. I've never had to come up and talk at this length about fireworks. If you'd like for us to come back with solutions to fine tune the show, understand the options, that seems appropriate and fair. I just think we're going to need some baseline data this season to really try to understand what that is.
Well, and I'm trying to be open and fair, and in that vein, you have to admit there have been new events that have popped up that have been advertised before they've even been approached for approval. So that's a process in and of itself that we need to improve on both sides.
Agree. I would agree with that. Yep.
I yield.
Anyone else at this time? Gentlemen, Mr. Zimmerman, Alderwoman Eichman.
Sorry, Mayor. Thank you. I just wanted to add, Mr. Zimmerman, in regards to good old Facebook, the poll that was taken. The City of Franklin, for the record, as you know, does not have an official City of Franklin Facebook page. So anything that's out there is not run by the city. And it is well known that the page where the poll, I believe, was posted cares and chooses to block elected officials currently and has a reputation of doing so in the past, so that elected officials cannot see the information that is out there and the feedback from residents and so forth. I just wanted to make that statement on the record. With that being aside, I did want to add, I did receive several phone calls and emails outweighing the fireworks more in the positive side of residents reaching out to me, asking for the fireworks to return. I would say I had less than 3 that chose to contact me that were not in favor of. However, I feel that was more political. They may have not been caught up to speed on some of the events that occurred at our last council meeting. So I have had numerous residents stop me, whether it's at the grocery store, call me, and ask for the fireworks to be back. Several residents, there's 36,000 residents in the city, several residents do enjoy the fireworks. I think we've come a long way as far as compromising throughout the years, long before I was an alder in this seat. At one point, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, fireworks were asked to be lit off on Saturdays at one point, I think even Sundays at one point. We went back down to Saturday nights. I believe when your extraordinary applicant originally came through, you wanted a hard stop of fireworks at 10:30. When Mr. Atkins and Mr. Conley met with us in licensing last week, there was a compromise that we'd have a hard stop at 10 o'clock. So I do see compromises being made as far as the fireworks. So those to say that there's no compromises being made, unfortunately, maybe you missed the license committee meeting. With that, I'll yield.
Mr. Hopfer?
I'll just add a little counterbalance. The emails and phone calls I've got are on the other spectrum. So, and to comment to a Facebook poll that is not a scientific survey, it's not a demographic representative of the 36,000 people that live here. It can be a slanted, biased piece. So I don't take that as the gospel. Unfortunately, with our system and the way things have been going, when licensing has a lot of these controversial things that take a lot of time, and they come into the council chambers just when we're ready to start the meeting, that information isn't always fully and accurately relayed back to the council. And I understand your comments about anybody can go to the meeting. It doesn't work for everybody's schedule, just like you've missed multiple council meetings because you weren't able to attend. So not all alders can attend all of those meetings, and as such, we rely on the licensing committee to give us that information, and I did in fact learn some things today that I did not know at the time that we made the vote.
Alderwoman Eichman?
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman, may I ask who you are referencing that has missed multiple common council meetings?
You've missed several.
I've missed 3 in my 3-year
Okay.
term. You've missed more on vacation, Alderman.
All
And
right.
mine were due to health-related
I have.
So
absences.
we're going to do a
Point
point
of
of order
order.
right now. Thank you. We're not, unless there's, we're not going to be going back in this thing. We are not, can't, you can't, you can't,
There's no suspension.
we're not suspending the rules, and you continue to give your point. Great. So, well, no, we're not opening up citizen comment period again. So down here for one last. Any further comments on this at this point? Mr. Barber?
No,
Alderman Day?
made mine.
No, I'm good now. Thank you.
Alderman Hassan?
I guess I do have one.
Alderman Barber, back to you.
My hope is that we can continue to work together to improve this. I'm also want to be sure that the immediate residents are heard and are part of the equation, and that's my concern. If we can continue to move forward, I understand that you have purchased everything this year. I think your comment about trying to improve them for next year is somewhat valid, and I'd like to see motion on that and some follow-up from you before we would approve that next year. So to be just put on that as a record for me, I think there can be some improvement. And that was the whole purpose of my comments and in my questions. If we can do that going into next year, I think that's a positive step for me, but I want to see that kind of action come forward, especially with the sound study. I don't know if it takes the 90 days to look at what's happening with fireworks, but by the time we get this finished, we should be able to do something this year, shortly after 8/23.
Okay, any closing comments, gentlemen? No? Thank you. I'll entertain a motion. Is there a motion to approve?
I'd like to make the motion to approve.
I would second that.
I've got a first and a second. This will definitely be a roll call vote.
Alderman Hopper,
Based on hopefully having progress and that we can work throughout the rest of this year to make improvements, I will vote yes.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Still aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
5 ayes, no noes, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn, Mayor.
We got a first. We got a second, Mr. Barber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Creep us off, please.
Recording stopped.